Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Until then, see you soon. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. We believe that the relationship between a dad and daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. Let's get to it. Let's tune in. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that, the relationship between a young woman and her father is one of the most important relationships in a young girl's life. Therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give our love and support to all of our dads and their daughters, and also to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your social media platforms, as well as your podcast listening platforms. Make sure you check us out. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Make sure you guys are checking us out there because not only do we have the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, but we also have the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast there, as well as some other podcasts. And again, that's on the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube. So make sure you guys go and check that out where you can check out all of our podcasts. Our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase in order to help us to keep our lights on. So our product of the week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we are the journal in order to keep track of where we've been and where we are in our lives, as well as planning for our future. So make sure you guys check out our description, and in the description, make sure you guys check out the description to get the link to go and get your Purpose Journal and your Purpose Planner. Both of them are available on YouTube, but make sure you guys just go down into the description because the link is there, as well as some other great information that's also in the description. So make sure you guys go and check that out. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Kenny G. I'd say Kenny G. Kenny J. Forgive me. Kenny J. How you doing?
Yeah. Man, I get it. I understand. It's too familiar. Everybody know Kenny G. But before it's all over, Kenny J will be known across the globe. I'm joking, but it's all good.
No problem, no problem, man.
Yeah,
Definitely appreciate you
yeah,
being here, man.
yeah.
So I want to just jump right in and do me a favor,
Mhm,
introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little
mhm.
bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, my name is Kenny J. I am originally from Inglewood, New Jersey. I am a product of what has become my love and passion, music. Most of my music, if not all, and for the most part, all of it is positive music. It talks about empowering people, particularly women, and just trying to give them a fresh sense of what artistry is, in my opinion. And when you're writing music, in my estimation, I'm was tired of the narrative that we see women on cars and just being
Mm,
disrespected. As
yeah,
an artist, it was important to me that I make sure when I write my music is something that my children can listen to, my mom can listen to, and not be so degrading, but that it uplifts people. I'm gifted by God to do music, and for me, it's important when I do my music that it's going to still point back to love. It's going to still point back to positivity and empowering people. I am a dad of three children. I have two girls, a boy, and a grandson. And I'm out here in these streets just pushing positivity, pushing good music. I like the music that speaks to the soul of a woman and not be disrespectful. So I believe in serenading. I believe in taking her out. I believe in opening up the door for her. I believe in making sure that not that I only do that, but my children see me doing it, and that my daughters ultimately see what a man is supposed to, how he's supposed to treat his lady. So, in essence, that's what it is. I grew up in the church, played music for a long time, and now I'm on the public sector and just got a bunch of awards, a part of the Grammy Voting Member Association, and voting on the Grammys and doing a whole bunch of stuff, just still pushing positivity. And that's just in a nutshell what it is for me. So I got a lot
right.
of things going on. I'm just kind of promoting and out here in these streets, just pushing positivity, pushing truth, pushing great positivity and great perspective. So
Yes, yeah, and I love it, and I definitely appreciate it because it is becoming almost a lost art. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
In this day and
yeah,
time.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely appreciate it and can't wait to hear some of your work.
yeah,
So I'm gonna jump right in it. So I'm gonna ask you two questions that I always ask straight off the bat, right?
yeah.
And that
Mhm.
is, what does it mean for you to be a girl dad? For the first question.
Oh, for me, it excuse me, to be a girl dad means to be there as a leading force in her life to make certain. I call it the strong man. When the strong man stands at the door, ain't too many things coming in there. It's not going to be right. That dad is going to protect her and going to make sure that any and everything that comes through there that's going to try to infiltrate her, he's going to deal with it. And at whatever cost, my job is to make sure that however it's going to end up, protect them. They are the innocent ones. They need to be nurtured, and the dad's job is to stand there and make sure that nothing happens. So I'll stand 10 toes down and make sure nothing happened to them. So
All right,
that's what it
all
is.
right. So
Yeah.
I heard you say you have two daughters. So what is your daughter's names?
My youngest daughter is Kiara, and my oldest daughter is Araya.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kiara and Rhea. Okay,
That's
cool,
right.
cool,
That's
cool.
right.
So my first, well, not my first question, but
Yeah.
my next question is, I always like to go back to the beginning.
Mm,
So you have two daughters, so you can either
mm,
speak on both experiences or just
mm.
one. It's up to
Yeah.
you. But
Mm.
how did you even find out that you are going to be a dad?
Well, Araya was number one. In 1998, around that, she was born in 1998. I found out from her mom that I was going to be, that was my first child, and I was willing to do any and everything in the world to make sure that I was there. I'm from a broken family. I'm from a broken home, so my dad was there, and sometimes not. My mom was there for the most part, but I wanted to make sure that I was there. And I learned from her mom that she was pregnant, and that's what it was. Were we married? No. And I'm going to put this out there. It's important as dads that even if there is a premarital sort of situation, make sure you're still there. It is
Mhm.
important that if you create it, it's something that you should nurture and take care of. If you're not ready, more than likely you're going to have to learn how to get ready right in the process. And, for me, it was my first child. Was I ready? Probably not, but I was willing to take the task because I knew how important that is to bring a child into this world.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and just to be honest, you're never ready. You know what
No, no, no.
I'm
At any point. At any,
You're never ready. It's always going. Even if it's
yeah.
not your first child,
Hmm.
it's still a new process, a new
Yeah.
experience. You be starting
Yeah.
all over again.
That's
So
right.
yeah, there's no such thing as being ready. It's just
Yeah.
ready
Yeah.
or not,
Oh,
it's
man,
coming, right?
it's gonna and all of them are going to be different. No child is going to be the same. Just get ready for it. Just be ready for it. Just be ready
Right,
for it.
right.
Yeah.
So even with your daughters, after
Mhm.
finding out that you were going to be a dad,
Mhm.
um, and then going through the pregnancy, did you guys wait until they were born to find out the sex, or did you guys find out early?
We found out during the process. During the process, let me just tell you this. I'm going to add on caveat for what I said earlier.
Mhm.
I was going to school at that time to be an engineer, to an audio engineer at the Institute of Audio Research. Back then they were handing out jobs for interns. So part of the job to being ready is to making, or part of the process of being ready is you not, sometimes you have to take yourself off of trying to go after the things you want to make sure that you're going after the things to take care of that child. So I
Mhm.
didn't take a job that wasn't going to pay any money. Immediately, I was actually having to go into the process of making sure that I get a job and make sure I can provide for that child. So yeah, so I had to add that on. Now to your question, I can't remember what it was. I'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah. I said, did you guys find out what the sex
Mm,
was before?
yeah.
In
No.
both cases, and with both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Most of the time, I found out before because that kind of led for preparation. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's to prepare. Yes, I needed to know what they were going to be. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mm,
Cool. 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 And so, just as a new father, right,
mhm.
coming home, and I definitely want to also um want you to talk about your other daughter too,
Yes.
because although there are two different experiences,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, they still have value.
Right.
But coming home for the first time, with your daughter, having your
Mhm.
daughter for the first time once she's actually born, how was that realization for you? As far as like the responsibility, like you already said you were
uh,
preparing, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, but
Yeah.
now it's just like, all right, she's here now. So how was that experience to you? Just like in the mindset of, okay,
Yeah.
now it's really on now.
Yeah, there. Okay, both situations were both like, I can't believe this is what it is, and you just there. I can remember standing there just looking and just staring, like reality is setting in right now. This is not a joke. You are responsible for a human being. It is, boys have a way about them that sometimes you can just kind of put them out there and let them get dirty. They're gonna do what they do. But girls, you know, they have a different aura about them. The feminine essence that I think it's important to be nurtured, to have that essence is like, and then you think about all of the times that you were a knucklehead out here in these streets and you're looking at these children coming in this world. You're like, okay, how's this going to work out? But for me, I stood there in total disbelief. I couldn't believe it. And, I just couldn't believe it. It was just something I had to get used to, and it wasn't an easy thing. And I took it I took it in stride. I'm naturally a person that's going to kind of care and be there, but that's just my what how I felt during that process.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then as they begin to get older, and actually being able to, especially once they're able to walk and talk and
Mhm.
things like that, it's a new phase or that comes in,
Mhm.
especially not just like the teenage years. And I know you mentioned one of your daughters is 21 now.
Mhm.
So, she's older, and I would say my daughter's 21 also. So
Yeah.
definitely that new phase. But let's just say the teenage years. How was that those years? And I don't know if you allowed your daughter to date at that time, but
No.
even having that conversation, because especially with you making the love music, is like, all right, now we got to have a conversation because now the young men is coming
Ah,
out and things
yeah.
of that nature.
the teenage years weren't bad. The boys, and it wasn't really. I kind of rule with a rod, iron fist. Like, it's just not kind of happening like that. What they did outside of the house, I'm sure, was like really crazy. But they knew, and I wasn't kind of shut off to them having boyfriends necessarily, but I would have to meet them, and I would have to meet their parents.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry. I just have to. I don't care what the dynamic of the family was like. I had to meet their mom and their dad, because they have to understand how you run your house to some degree. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so I'm not sending them to the movies by themselves. I'm not sending them on some weird journey by themselves.
Yeah.
Either I'm going to be with them, their mom's going to be with them, or their parents. And I was even cautious about their parents, because you never know.
Right. Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
these days. I was very cautious. They gave attitude sometimes. Why can't you let me do this and this? So you have to sit them down and have a conversation. A lot different than the way I was raised. It was like, look, you do what I say, and that's just what it's going to be.
Mhm.
My children, they needed an explanation, and it's not that you had to give them to them as a parent, but it's
Right.
necessary because of the era that they were in. They have to be explained every single thing so they can know what the pitfalls are. But them coming up in their 15, 16 years old, did they like boys? Yes. Nowadays it's like, um, well, who are you dating? Right. So my oldest daughter was the first one to have a child. And, that came with its pitfalls too, because you're like, okay, what is this about? And you still got to be there as a dad, but you got to be a little more tactful, because sometimes even the choices that they make now are like, this is what the repercussions of it is. So,
Right. Yeah.
them
Yeah.
coming up when I was 15 wasn't all that difficult, because I was there, and I wasn't going to take a no for that. No, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always tell dads, because I've heard it said, well, once they get grown, then it's all of my job is
No,
done, and I'm like, dude, your job is never done.
no,
It just
ever,
changes.
ever.
So, again, like I said, my daughter's 21, and
Mm,
so even college and really now being able to guide her, even
mm,
in, okay, what do you want to do with your life? You know what I'm saying? And
right.
even like you said, my daughter don't have any kids, but it's still a possibility that one day
Absolutely.
I might get that phone call. I mean,
Absolutely.
I got two grandkids by my stepsons, so
Yes.
you know what I mean? So now I got
Yeah.
two granddaughters. So, I'm gonna share this. My first son that had a child was still in high school, right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
his daughter's mother,
Mm,
before she was born, her dad is a cop, right? And so we're getting up early in the morning one day, and we're getting the kids ready to go off to school. Me and my wife at the time are getting that, and we're do beating on the door. And I'm like, who beating on the door like the police? And we
it
open
was
the
the
door, and it
police.
was the police, right? And so it's him and his wife, and he's still in uniform and everything, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And so I don't know when they had the conversation with her, but
Mhm,
now they was bringing it to us because
mhm,
my son
mhm.
didn't tell us, of course. You know what I'm saying? And so they like, did your son tell you, what's going on? And we like, no, what's going on? So we called my son in, and they like,
Yeah, we faced the music.
let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about it. It's like, well, we got a child on the way. So even as they grow, our sons and our daughters, they still need us. They still need that guidance.
Yeah, true.
They still need you to be able to come and, again, like you said, have those conversations,
That's right.
because that conversation was not the best. I mean, the conversation itself was not necessarily a hard conversation, but it was how we
Mm,
found out. You know what I
mhm.
mean? It was like early
Yes,
in the
yes.
morning, and he
Yeah,
didn't tell us. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that was a whole nother thing. But yet and still, they have to get to the point where they make their own decisions
That's
and, like
true.
you said, deal with the repercussions of those decisions. And so as they get past the teenage years into the excuse me, into their 20s, like I said, it's not over. It just
It
turns the
it
corner. You know what
it
I'm
it
saying?
gets more
And so,
expensive. It gets more expensive.
yeah, it gets more expensive, and then you know it gets more expensive. And as a dad, you don't have as much influence on their decisions. So you kind of, and when they're younger, you can kind of guide their decisions. But
Right.
now they make decisions, and then you got to guide the consequences.
Absolutely.
I
And
think,
you got to hold calm, hold tight. I've even had the experiences of just kind of not flipping off, like not going
Mhm.
nuts. Like as a dad, it's like sometimes you want to say, I keep telling you, but
Yeah,
you can't say that. You kind of got to kind of like but here's the thing about it, people. For the for girl dads discussion, this show is going to be important because as dads raising children these days is a lot different. So you
mhm,
can't go at it with a heavy hand. You got to
right,
take your time, like breathe through it and sit down and have a conversation. When you sit down and have a conversation and unpack every nuance of whatever issue it is, you can find some remedies to it. I've learned long time ago that hollering, screaming, yelling, none of that stuff makes a difference when it comes to raising any children, more or less a girl, any children. It has to kind of come with a different perspective. It's a lot going on out in this world, a whole lot more. Well, I don't wouldn't say that. A whole lot more than when I was, because we were afraid most of the time to do a lot of things that these kids are
mhm,
just going to do. Period.
yeah,
So we have to be there and understand that we have to be there with a certain type of hand these days. Not like not going over there, speeding through the whole situation. Just take your time and discuss the situations, and have because these kids these days are gonna make some mistakes.
yeah, yeah.
Just like we did. It's just gonna be something that's going to happen, but we have to deal with it differently.
Yeah, and that even goes back to what you're saying. Even with the some of the mistakes that they're going to make,
Mhm,
of course they didn't make some of the mistakes, or should I say, we didn't make some of the mistakes that they may make
mhm.
because either we were number one afraid, was we
Yeah,
we're afraid of to do it
yeah,
ourselves, afraid
yeah,
of our parents, but
yeah.
then also we weren't exposed to as much of stuff that they're exposed to. It's like some of the
Absolutely.
things that I heard and I remember growing up, it was like, one or two things, maybe we had to make decisions about. But
Yeah,
now they have so much information, coming
yeah,
their way and exposed to so much, they got to make all
yeah,
kind of decisions,
yep,
at a young age because they're exposed to stuff that they
yeah.
shouldn't even be exposed to
The
yet.
access of all of this digital stuff makes
Yeah,
it a lot more accessible that they could get more information that we had to go kind of, we had to go really, really looking for the information.
yeah, yeah,
Nowadays, everything is at the, right in their hands and they can get any information, any piece of documentation, any
yeah,
explanation. You got to be careful of the explanations that they get because sometimes it could be misleading. So we
right.
have to really be careful. I was not exposed to social media coming up. Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
I don't even think we had social media.
Nah, nah. All we had was Oregon Trail
Right,
and
right.
Pac-Man. We didn't
Yep,
have
that was it.
we didn't have this. This was non-existent. We didn't have this. Only time we seen this was when we looked at our TV, which played
Right.
2, 4, 5, 7, 9, and
Nine,
11.
yep.
Nothing else. So that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And like you said, we used to have to go looking for trouble. Now
that's
trouble
right.
comes looking for you. As soon as you
That's
pick your
right.
phone up, the
There you go.
algorithm is like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
So I wanna talk about one of the things that I talk about, right? I remember when my daughter was younger, she had her first daddy daughter dance, right? And I had to
Mhm,
work. And so I told her that I would miss it and I would catch the next
mhm,
one,
mhm,
and she probably was like 6 or 7 at that time. And she's 21 now, and there never was the
mhm,
next one, right? So that's
mhm,
one of the things that I regret of not taking that time, to be
mhm,
there with her as a
mhm,
dad, especially with your
mhm,
daughter being 21 too. So you got
mhm.
the same amount
Yeah.
of time to make mistakes
Yeah.
as I have.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is there um ex experience that you could think of that you may have had or not have had with your daughter that you look back now and be like, all right, I could have done that a little differently. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? I could have, reacted a little differently or
mhm,
handled it a little differently
mhm.
for it to have a better outcome.
So my first daughter, I wasn't around her when she was 2 years old, all the way up to she was about a teenager. So those years when her mom and I was just trying to navigate, breaking up and all of that sort of stuff, it was difficult to kind of unpack a lot of things that were going on in that time. Her mom was mad. I was trying to kind of force feed my presence there, and it just kind of wasn't really working. So at that time, it was really, really difficult. So that's a pretty much so a regretful moment for me at that time, because I don't know if I think I tried a lot, but I just wasn't there. My presence was. Of course, they
Mhm.
put you on child support and all that stuff and make sure everything's cool. So that was cool. But as far as my presence was there to make sure that she knows, that I'm here, that was one of the issues. Now it's different. She understands what it was, and we connected via social media again at some point in her life, and then we connected and everything was cool, and she understands that I love her and all that sort of stuff. Kiara, my youngest daughter, I was there for all of her life. The only thing that I was regretful for Kiara, I don't know, because Kiara was much more of a free child. You know what I mean? She was gonna she had the mother and dad, that were married for 21 years. Um, Regretfully, my wife passed away last year. She lost her mom. So that's probably the only regretful thing that is for her, is that she lost her mom. Um, it's If there was a highlight out of that, it's grateful that I could be there with a healed heart and a healed mind to be able to still be there for
Mhm.
her during the most difficult time for her in her life. I'm grateful that I'm there for that. Kiara, Araya, two different individuals, two different experiences, but I am a healed individual that can still be in both of their lives at this point in their life. So was it regretful? It was. But I'm still grateful that I could be there for her at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and I applaud you for even saying that you are healed, because a lot of times us as men and definitely as
Mm,
fathers, we don't take the time to heal ourselves. You
very
know what I
true.
mean? And so, uh, of course, when we go through breakups and things of
Mhm.
that nature, divorces, which myself is I've been divorced.
Yeah,
We hurt too. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And we go through emotional stuff too, and we don't always share it or acknowledge it,
Hmm.
let alone doing the work of actually healing. And
Hmm.
so I'm definitely big on making sure that, hey, we
Absolutely.
have work to do too. And I applaud you for doing the work yourself
Mm,
and for even voicing it, especially
mm.
on this platform.
Yes.
For other dads know that, yeah, I understand you hurt. I
Hmm.
understand, the relationship didn't work out. I understand that you didn't want to be
Amen.
on child support, or you on child support, or whatever
Whatever.
that scenario is, but
Whatever.
you still have to, you got a job to do.
Yeah, you can't be a hindrance to anything if you want progression. You can't be a hindrance to it, because sometimes in our unhealed self, we can be a hindrance to the process coming out the way it should, or positively, right? So
Yeah,
we have to make sure that we put ourselves in environments that's going to challenge us to be healed, not to challenge us to kind of keep on regurgitating the old stuff. It's like at some point, what's the conclusion of the matter? What's the answer to the problem? How do we fix it? Because I don't know anybody who continuously wants to be in an unhealed state. You know what I mean? For me, it was important for me to be healed, because it was only me being healed that was going to help my future be better. Right. So me not being healed, that's just going to kind of make my life even more chaotic going forward.
right.
So it was important for me to be healed. And I can, at that point, really, really sink my teeth into being a very, very much more successful girl dad.
Right, right. I love it. I
Mm.
love it. And
Yeah.
so on that note,
Mm,
we were talking about regrets. So on the
mm,
flip side of that,
mm.
as a dad, what has been one or two of your greatest achievements as a father when you look back and look at the job that you've done? And
Mm,
sometimes and I think it's
mm.
okay. Sometimes we
Yeah.
look at it like, yeah, I did a good job right there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Yo, I'm able to, at this point in my life, be able to out serve both my daughters with a perspective of what's going on out here in the world right now with a clear mind, and I'm able to give them direction that's going to help them. So with regard to relationships, I've been through enough to understand what to watch out for. And the great thing about them, well, me, is I'm a guy, so I can give them all of the pointers, all of the things to pay attention to, or not to choose that guy. So when they come to me and bring me a gentleman, um, I'm able to have a conversation with. I wrote a song as an artist. I write songs for my daughters in that right. So she had a conversation with me, my youngest daughter, about a young gentleman who was trying to get too much stuff from her. And the guy didn't know her name, or didn't know her mom's name, didn't know my name, didn't know her favorite color. It's all of the things that a guy should be going after. And I wrote a song called Protect Your Heart. Through that song, it was the conversation that we had. And from that song, she was able to make a very, very clear, conscious decision on what she was going to do and what she wasn't. And that's a very much so a highlight of it all, because what you do has to be has to have some bearing on what your children see. I can't rightfully tell my children to pay attention to what that guy is doing, what this guy is doing, and I'm out here doing any and everything in these streets. It's important that I live up to what I write about. It's important that I live up to what I believe. And those are high points for me when it comes to both my daughters. They were able to lean on me for information that was going to help them in their life.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So just on a side note, you
Mhm.
mentioned you're a grandfather now. So how was
Yeah.
that experience?
It's a process. She called me the other day saying, "Hey, you want to come pick them up?" Like, yeah, nah, yeah, no, yeah, nah, nope. Okay, so at this point is at my time, so I'm not going to relieve them of the pressure that she's going to have to understand how it's going to need to work for her. And I didn't get no relief when it came to raising my children, how much time I needed to spend with them, how much money I needed to spend, and I got no relief. Nobody gave me nothing in the world to make my life or my job easier. I think it's important that if you're going to have these children, understand the process and the responsibility it's going to take to have them. And it's not that don't look for anybody to bail you out, because it doesn't happen like that in real life. Hear me? Right? So yeah, I love my grandson. Yes, would I get him on sometimes? Sure, bring him down, but you better stay with him, because he's gonna go right back home with you.
That's how my dad is. My dad now, so it's 9 of us. I got 8 siblings.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my dad and my mom passed away some years ago.
Yeah, God
Now
bless her.
my dad now, you know what I mean? Like, you got grandkids. Of course, he got plenty of grandkids now.
Yeah.
But he be like, I don't even hold them no more. You know what I mean? He be like, I look at him like, oh, that's precious. Okay, no, don't even give it to me. He was like, I want no parts of it.
I'll hold them. I'll smile with him. I'll play catch with him. I'll do all that stuff. But when it gets outside and you leaving, yeah, he gonna have to leave with you, boo. Come on now. Gotta go.
So I gotta admit though, when my son that we found out that morning when he was in high school, he ended up having a girl, right? So me being a girl dad, and then him having a girl. So my first grandchild was a granddaughter. So I gotta admit, she was all me.
Spoiled, yeah.
I mean, I can go through my phone. I got like hundreds of pictures of us. You know what I mean? So she was like my baby. So I was I was that granddad.
Yeah, I get it. Now I might be that way with the girls, but I got a grandson. Yeah, take him with you.
All right. Oh man. So definitely appreciate your story and everything.
Yeah.
So I wrote an ebook, and I know I had sent you a copy of it called The Core 4. So we're going to talk about that real quickly, right? In our next segment called the Getting to the Core segment. So the ebook is called The Core 4, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. And to my audience, you guys can get your copy of The Core 4 at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. And so when we're talking about the Core 4, right, those Core 4 values are guidance, affirmation, love and affection, and then protection is the last one. And so Kenny, for you, having 2 daughters, what would you say of those 4 was probably the most important to you that you wanted to make sure that your daughters that you instilled in your daughters?
I would say affirmation, because affirmation, you can affirm them in all of the things that you listed: love, affection, empower, whatever that is. If you affirm them consistently, they'll get every one of those things. To me, you'll get love, you'll get empowerment, you'll get protection. If you continuously affirm them continuously, they'll get all of those right there in that one word to me.
All right, all right. Last question before we get out
Mhm.
of here. The
Yeah.
ebook is called The Core Four, which is the
Mhm.
core four values.
Mhm.
But if there could be a fifth value that you could add, what would that fifth value be?
Be there unconditionally all the time. Whenever you're called, be present. Be present. That's really simple. Just be present.
All right, all
Just
right.
be
Well,
there.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So I wanna thank you again for
Yeah.
coming on and for sharing your story and your
Yeah.
insight. As a
Thank you.
father, I definitely appreciate it, and
Mm.
also appreciate the work that you do with your songs to
Yes.
be to uplift women instead of
Mm.
degrading and all of that. We
Yeah.
had that conversation a little before we started
Yeah.
recording.
Mm.
But being that example
Mm.
of what love should look like, not just to your daughters, but to
Mm.
all the young ladies, that
Mm.
are exposed to your music and stuff. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yes.
Um, I want you to leave us with a word of either word of advice for the
Mm.
fathers or for the daughters, however you
Mm.
feel. And also leave us with your social media handles and things of
Mm.
that nature so that we can follow you and keep up with you. So I'll give you
Yeah.
a couple of seconds to think
Yeah.
about that. While you're thinking about it, to my audience, to my listeners, thank you guys for tuning. Yeah, I can't even get it out. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. If you ever thought of starting your own podcast, then you need to get your copy of the Start Your Podcast Now ebook. I was constantly asked, how do you start a podcast? Since I have several, so I wrote an ebook called Start Your Podcast Now. I made it really simple. You can get your copy of the ebook at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. Make sure you go there and check that out. Also, make sure you check out my main website, which is the dealhealfulfill.org, because that is my mission. My mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. So make sure you guys go to the dealhealfulfill.org website, and you can find out more about the things that I do, events, upcoming events, and also how to book me to come out and do a workshop or to be a speaker at your school or your next event. So make sure you guys go check that out. Also at ebooksbyejames.com, not only can you find the Start Your Podcast Now, but you can find the Core Four, which we talked about, and there's also an ebook called From Males to Men, which is a ebook for young men that's transitioning into adulthood, from being teenagers, as well as the ebook Forgiving Me, the 4 steps to self-forgiveness. Make sure you guys go to ebooksbyejames.com in order to check out all of those ebooks that are available there. And make sure you guys check out Deal to Heal tees.com. That's deal the number 2 heal tees.com, which is our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go there and check it out. Our inspirational t-shirts, as well as our t-shirts, our podcast merch shirts, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month, dealing with forgiveness, talking about what it is, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, and everything surrounding forgiveness. It is absolutely free. You can go to forgivenessmission.com and sign up and register for the next event, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop and sign up for it that way. So whenever you listen to this, either one just passed or there's one coming up. Again, it's 100% free, but the value, what the information is priceless. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com and sign up for our next virtual workshop. All right. So again, Kenny J, I want to make
Yeah.
sure I say thank you so very much. Again, I
Yeah.
appreciate you being on. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is
Mhm.
yours.
Man, I appreciate you, Mr. E. James. Thank you for getting me on. Salute to you. If I was to say a couple of things, is to all of your audience and all of the people, is to stay true to yourself, love, empower, and stay positive at all times. Make sure you're finding anybody that you can uplift with a powerful word that's going to change their life. It only takes one word. It only takes one thing to say to somebody to change their life. Even if you have to dig in your pockets, do it if you can, and just be a positive essence on this earth. Don't utilize our women for anything else other than empowering them, and use that earth and essence that they have and help them. Do not be a hindrance to anybody on this earth. For me, that's my mission, to make sure that if I use my artistry is going to be used in a way that's going to empower, uplift, and love. So if you can reach me on all the digital platforms, my music is on Instagram, my music is on Facebook, my music is on iTunes, everywhere you get your digital music from, you can get it from. Back to Rhythm and Love, Volume 1 is out right now. We're focusing on a song called You're a Woman. I am a part of the Grammy Awards voting member. I am in the process of trying to kind of, get me a Grammy or get nominated for something. So I'm putting all that positive energy back into the music. What else I got going on? I have a podcast coming out October 14th called Real Talk, Real Thought, which is going to be a platform that's going to speak particularly about songs that help push the envelopes of healing. And we're going to start unpacking songs that have meaning to them and try to hopefully bring some clarity to some things. We talk about love. We're going to talk about relationships. So Real Talk, Real Thought. You can go on Instagram, Real Talk, Real Thought. You can go on there. If you want to reach me, you can hit the website up at kennyjmusic.com. You can hit me on Facebook at Kenny Wilkins. You can hit me at Instagram is going to be Kenny Wilkins. Facebook is going to be Kenny J Wilkins, and TikTok, Kenny J Wilkins, the number 7. All of the information will be there. You can get it, whatever you need, everything, all the access. Shoot me a DM, follow me, comment, follow, share, whatever. And we're going to hopefully be a part of, to help this world be a better place through love. So hopefully that's what we can accomplish.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. Also, guys, make sure you check the descriptions in the podcast. All of Kenny's information will be there, so you guys can make sure you follow him and keep up with him. Make sure you guys check out his podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast and the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So, like I said, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where our mission is to promote the voices of girl dads and girls, dads, and their daughters, and to combat the narrative of the fatherless daughter and the absent father. And I think we're doing a good job at it. So make sure you guys share it. Don't keep it to yourself, but share with someone else that the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is on the air. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our podcast on all your podcast listening platforms. Also, don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else that the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is on the air. Until next time, be blessed.